what you do in your day-to-day life here at Western Air.
Well, I'm in a new position right now. I was a production manager here. I ran the shop floor for about 3 years, and they've recently moved me to business development analyst. And in that position, I do a lot of things. I track records on our productivity and the quote accuracy of our quotes, turn times, things like that. I communicate with our customers. I'm the one that initiates the customer satisfaction surveys. I do that sort of thing. And I also do quoting. I quote the jobs and create the estimates and represent the company at trade conferences and things of that sort. So it's kind of a part marketing, part internal data collecting. So that's basically it.
Sounds a bit complicated.
Yeah, it gets crazy sometimes with the crazy numbers and stuff. So.
What did it take for you to get into the field you're in now?
Well, when I graduated high school, I joined the Marine Corps, and that's what got me my start in aviation. I was airplane mechanic on that plane right there. That's A6 Intruder. That's where I started out, got my sheet metal experience. I loved aviation. As a child growing up, I was fascinated with aircraft, and so I always thought that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I did. And so when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went to aircraft mechanic school here in Colorado and got my AMP license. That's the airframe power plant rating. And then here I am. That was probably 30 years ago, so it's been good to me.
So in your 30 years, by far, what is the weirdest repair or fix you've had to do?
Oh. Well, I can think of one. It was when I was in the Marine Corps. It was probably any of my crazy stuff was in the Marine Corps. But we were over in Japan, and we were getting ready to fly back to the States. And one of the aircraft, one of these A6s, there's a boarding ladder that folds out on the side of the where the pilot can climb up and get into the plane. Well, they had been out flying, and that ladder had come open, and it blew off the plane. And so we were just, getting ready to come back to the States, so we had to rebuild that whole boarding ladder from scratch. Me and a buddy of mine did that. It took us all night long. We got the ladder built, got it back on the plane, it folded up nicely, and got back to the States. And I got another one there. It was actually on the same tour. One of the planes going over to Japan had a bird strike. It knocked a hole about that big in the front of the wing, and we patched it with smashed up beer cans. And it made it to Japan. Once it got there, we were able to do a permanent repair, but that was pretty cool too. So.
As long as it made it.
Yeah.
That's all that counts.
You can do things in the military that you can't with commercial aircraft. There's no way you could do that with a commercial aircraft. So.
Yeah, the FAA would frown upon that.
Yeah, they would.
What are your job requirements?
Whew. That's a good question, because they just put me in this position a few months ago, and I'm still trying to figure that out. What do you mean, though, by that? I mean, job requirements?
Like, what did it take for you to get to this position?
Oh, okay. You don't have to, but you should be going to an aircraft maintenance school to get your airframe power plant rating. You can get either one or the other, airframe or power plant, but most people get both. It allows you to do pretty much anything on the airplane. So that's about a 2-year course. They send you out of there now with an associate's degree, when you get through the course. And then just basically just getting out there and getting a job and getting the experience. Once you start getting more and more experience, it becomes easier to get jobs, in this field. And that's where the military really pays off. It was relatively easy for me because of my military experience. So.
Yeah, 'cause it's already hard enough to get a job as it is.
Yeah.
Are you glad you went into this occupation?
Yeah, I am. It's done well for me over the years. I've always managed to stay employed. through this rough times we had. I did briefly, for about 6 years, get out of aviation. I was in the construction. I was a contractor building homes when things were booming and going. When that industry died, and back in 2007, 2008, I lost my job, and within 2 weeks I had a job here. You know, I got out there and went after the aviation job, and you know, and I got hired. So it served me very well. So.
What particular skill set would you need to be in the position you're at?
Well, the position I'm currently in, you really need to have a good, thorough knowledge of aviation, of the technical data, the federal aviation regulations, that sort of thing. And, you know, of course, you've got to have some experience so you understand what they're doing out there in the shop, you know. And so it really requires computer skills. I've been fortunate over the years. I've always been fascinated with computers, so I was tinkering with those back in the 80s, you know. And so I'm actually, for my age, I'm probably farther along with computers than most people my age, because I've always been fascinated with them. But you really do need to have some pretty good computer skills and a good understanding of the regulations and the technical data. Interpreting the technical data can be a challenge, especially blueprints and things like that. So.
Would that be sort of like a stressful part to the job?
Well, actually, no. I get into that part, the research, and it gets aggravating. I don't know if stressful would be the word, but it gets frustrating sometimes, just trying to find this little piece of information. You know, you want to find, I don't know, the hardness of a piece of metal, what it's supposed to be, and you're trying to track that down through technical data, and sometimes it can be very frustrating. You find out everything in the world about this part, except for the little thing that you need. So.
Of course, isn't that the way it's supposed to be?
That's Murphy's Law. So.
Yeah. Who inspired you to go into the career?
You know, I don't know. Like I said, I've always been fascinated with aircraft, and maybe it could have been my father. When we were kids, I was probably about 6 or 7. He took us up. We chartered, you know, went and they took us up in a little Cessna, our family, and flew us around, and that was really fascinating to me. And then we used to go park at the end of the runways with my dad when I was a kid and watch the planes come right over our head and land, you know. So I guess it's my father. Although he had nothing to do with aviation, he was fascinated with them too. So
it's kind of like the way it is with me and my dad.
My dad.
We sit down there and build model airplanes, and it's just fascinating how they all go together, and they'll stay together in flight and everything else.
And that's something he and I talk about a lot. I build radio control planes. That's one of mine up there. My wife painted a picture of it. But they're built the same way, though. They're just made out of balsa wood and stuff, but they're constructed the same way as the real ones. It's pretty cool.
It's just a miniature version of it.
Yeah.
How long did it take to get into the position?
Well, I've been here, how long have I been here? About 4 years, and to get this position I'm in now. So I started out here as an inspector, and then I moved into the planning department, and then they made me a production manager, and then now I'm in this position. So.
Just one last question. What is your daily routine?
Well, I come in, check emails. That's pretty important, especially in the job I'm doing now, because I do a lot of communicating with our customers and potential customers via email. So the first thing I do is come in and sort through my emails, answer emails, and do that sort of thing. It usually takes about an hour. Do a lot of meetings. You know, some days are worse than others. We have meetings every Wednesday, and then there's just random meetings throughout the week. But I spend a lot of my time doing estimates and quoting the jobs and figuring out how much it's going to cost to overhaul the part and things like that, and tracking down parts pricing and, you know, figuring out the man hours and everything like that on the jobs. And that's pretty much it. And do whatever's asked of me, that comes up. I serve as a technical consultant here. When the guys out there have technical issues that stump them, they come to me, and I try to help them the best I can. And I assist with the quality assurance manager. He works on ISO type things, and we're trying to become ISO certified, which is just a management system that's recognized throughout the aviation industry. There's a lot of companies won't do business with you unless you're ISO certified, and like Boeing, so we want to get ISO certified. So I assist there. That's about it. The biggest bulk of my day is estimating jobs. I spend at least probably 50 to 60% of my time doing that, and tracking that data on the accuracy of our quotes, whether we're underquoting or overquoting and things like that. So just a lot of sitting here at the computer.
What kind of jobs do you estimate?
The overhaul, we overhaul aircraft structural components here, primarily for the military. Their aircraft will go into phased maintenance. They'll strip off all the flight controls, rudders, flaps, elevators, all those flight controls, and they send them to us. While they're working on the plane itself, they send those flight controls to us. We strip them down, completely refurbish them, go through them. And so once we've disassembled the part and all the paint's been removed and all the inspections have been done, they supply me with all of the write-ups, and then I go through these write-ups and determine how long it's going to take to fix them, and plus all the parts that need to be replaced. I figure out the pricing on all that and put it all together into a quote and send it out. So.
Sounds very, very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's not too bad, It gets frustrating sometimes, you get hung up on one or two little things and you just can't seem to get around them. And I'm in that position right now. I'm working on an entry door for an airplane, and it's got hundreds of little parts in there that have to be replaced. And there's 2 or 3 of them we can't find them, and so we get stumped. So.